Like having to go and pick your own switch for that butt whooping you're about to get, Lovecraft Country will fill you with dread.
Be strong.
Welcome to 5 on the Backhand Side. In this video, we will be dissecting episode 1 of Lovecraft Country Season 1. Warning, there will be spoilers. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the show, it is based on a 2016 novel of the same name written by Matt Ruff. The series is created by and produced by Misha Green. Jordan Peele also serves as an executive producer. The show stars a bevy of top-name talented black actors and actresses: Journey Smollett, Jonathan Majors, Anjanou Ellis, Wunmi Masaku, Michael K. Williams, and the Courtney B. Vance. Yes, this is the series we need right now. Make sure you subscribe, as we'll be breaking down the entire season, and please drop a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking, and let's get into our breakdown of Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 1. The story opens with a black soldier fighting in the trenches during the Korean War. As he fights his way through, he crawls up a hill and looks up in amazement. In front of him, he sees different elements from science fiction novels. There are machines from War of the Worlds, Cthulhu, and flying saucers with a red Martian woman, played by Jamie Chung. We also get to see Jackie Robinson beat the hell out of Cthulhu. The soldier wakes from his dream after going over a bridge. We will later learn that his name is Atticus Tick Freeman. While leaving the Jim Crow South of Kentucky, the bus he is traveling on breaks down. We see him reading A Princess of Mars. Not this one.
If you kindly just stand behind me, this might get dangerous.
And holding a letter. I knew this was about to happen, but it still makes me angry to see it on screen. The bus driver comes back with help for the white passengers to be taken to the next town, while Atticus and a fellow black female passenger have to walk. They discuss the book he was reading, and we find out that he is a lover of pulp stories and joined the army to get away from his father, and is now going back to Chicago because he has gone missing. Cut to Chicago, and we see a black couple in a warm embrace. This is George Freeman and his wife Hippolyta. George travels the country putting together a safe travel guidebook for blacks, though not specifically called a green book in this series. He is about to leave on his next trip, and his wife suggests she should go in his place.
Make the trip instead of you.
Now I'm thinking to myself, that is just crazy. And so does George. He implies that she should not, and takes her mind off the idea by making some sweet black love.
What are you doing?
A little girl, Diana D. Freeman, sits on the couch drawing, and is disturbed by the sweet sounds of the black love-making coming from the bedroom.
Gross.
She goes to the kitchen to open a shade, and it's her cousin Atticus, who has made it home. Yep, George is Atticus's uncle. Or is he? More on that later. While talking with his uncle, he picks up a copy of The Outsider and the Others by H.P. Lovecraft. This was the first novel published by Arkham House in 1939. Arkham House was founded by two friends of H.P. Lovecraft who had died 2 years prior to the publishing of this novel. The Outsider and the Others went out of print in early 1944 and has never been reprinted in its original form. Atticus tells Uncle George that his father sent him a letter before he went missing, and that he wanted him to go with him to find out where his mother's family came from. His words sound foreboding to his uncle.
So he found out where his family came from.
And we also find out that his father's an alcoholic. They look for clues to his whereabouts in the letter, first believing it was Lovecraft Country, Arkham, after mistaking a D for a K and realize that it is Artem. For some reason, someone thought it was a good idea to put a hip-hop song in this show. It was not a good idea. It takes away from the time period, and it's really out of place. We see Tick give a strange look to an army recruiter on his way to visit the bar his father frequents, looking for clues to his whereabouts. He is stopped by someone who tells him they are closing early for the block party. The bar patron, Tree, recognizes him, and they seem to have some sort of history. Tick goes to meet the bar owner, Sammy, who's out back getting a blowjob from some dude in an alley. Sammy tells Tick that he has not seen his father in 2 weeks, and that he left with some white man, whom he thinks may be a lawyer. Sammy provides the description of the car they left in, a silver Ford sedan. That night, we see Ruby performing on stage at the block party and Letitia arriving by taxi. We find out that they are sisters whom haven't seen each other in a while, and that Letitia did not come to her mother's funeral. George and Atticus find that Artem might be somewhere near Devon County, Massachusetts, so they decide to go after Atticus's father together. Atticus tells George to look at the image Dee drew in the atlas for Devon County. It's the Grim Reaper. While Tick is heading back to his father's apartment, we see a silver sedan. In the apartment, Tick goes through some of his father's belongings. We see a copy of The Count of Monte Cristo, and Tick takes a handgun from a shoebox in the closet. He places a call to Korea, and when the female on the other line answers, he does not speak, as if he's unable to say something to her. She tells him he should not have gone home.
You went home. You shouldn't have.
Somehow, Letty found out that they were leaving town and that she could catch a ride with them to her brother Marvin's. Marvin, who works for the Springfield African American, is going to help them look into Artem. During the Midwest travel montage, we hear pieces of the legendary 1965 debate between James Baldwin and William F. Buckley. George suggests they use a tip from his guidebook and stop at a diner called Lydia's in Simmonsville. Tick says Diane drew trolls in the atlas to represent Simmonsville. Welcome to Simmonsville, where the fire department is full of racists. So if you had a house in Simmonsville, never mind, you wouldn't have a house in Simmonsville if you were black. Moving on, something seemed off when they first pulled up to Lydia's. The name of the diner had changed, but they decided to go in anyway. As usual, white people leave when the blacks show up. Boy, black people gotta deal with some stuff. George tells the young white server that they're just stopping in for some lunch, and they take a seat at a front window booth, where everyone passing by can see their black faces. While Letty's in the restroom, George and Tick discuss how good the biscuits smell. On the way back from the restroom, Letty overhears the server speaking to someone on the phone. He says he did not serve them, not after what they did to Miss Lydia. Atticus notices the new white paint job in the restaurant and realizes that it had been torched. Letty comes out of the bathroom in a rush.
We gotta get the fuck out of here now!
They make haste to get out of town with some good old boys with shotguns and the fire department right behind. Tick uses his father's handgun and returns fire at the pursuers. Letty shows just how much of a badass she is with her driving skills.
You're gonna trash us.
The name's not Girls, Letitia fucking Lewis!
Out of nowhere comes the mysterious silver sedan that pulls in front of the truck chasing them and causes the truck to flip over, killing all of the occupants. Atticus watches as a finely dressed white woman emerges from the passenger side. He yells to Letty, "Let's get the hell out of here." The woman watches and has a sly smile on her face. Arriving at Marvin's house later that night, he tells the trio some of the history of Arkham and Devon County in which it resides. Devon County was founded by witch hunters, and strange occurrences occur all the time. Death by wolves and grizzlies, and outsiders are unwelcome. And the sheriff is a stone-cold racist with a huge NAACP file. Marvin gives them a clue that Artem might be in the middle of nowhere, and George and Tick decide to do some more digging.
You need to go to the registry. Maps of the property lines should clearly delineate the route into Artem.
George calls home to his wife, Hippolyta, and daughter Dee, and after the conversation, we notice he pulls a photo of Tick's mother from his wallet. Ooh, something strange going on here. George and Tick are talking outside when Tick tells George the last time he saw his father, they argued and slammed each other into the wall. George tries to tell Tick how bad his father Montrose had it as a child, but Tick tells George he had it bad too, and George did nothing to help him.
You ain't do shit to protect me. You regret that?
In the background, we hear Marvin and Letty arguing about the choices that Letty has made in her life and that she did not come to their mother's funeral. Marvin wants her out of the house tomorrow. The next morning, the trio all load up in Woody and head out in search of Artem. Welcome to Devon County. They pull over after driving around in circles looking for a bridge without any further clues. While looking into the woods, Tick and Letty hear a noise, and he says it may be Shoggoths. She asks what that is.
It's a monster from one of the Lovecraft stories.
As fate would have it, the sheriff shown in the NAACP file shows up, shotgun in hand, and informs them that this is not a sundown town, but a Sundown county, and that he will hang them from a tree, or worse, if they don't get out in time. He says if they go south, they won't make it, but if they go north, they might. Before he lets them go, he forces Tick to ask nicely if they can make a U-turn. Remember when I said Lovecraft Country will fill you with a sense of dread? Well, this is the scene, and probably one of the best in the episode. While trying to get out of the county in time, the sheriff follows them. Letty gets the handgun ready in case they don't make it in time. The sheriff smashes into the back of their car over and over again, trying to get them to retaliate. They barely make it to the next county in time, and just when they think they're home free, they run into a roadblock set up by the sheriff. The sheriff and 5 deputies take the trio into the woods, where they're accused of being gypsies and burglars who have committed 3 previous robberies. When questioned, TC reveals he knows the sheriff's name, and the sheriff wants to know why, if they are just passing through. They are about to be killed when the sheriffs hear noises and know that it does not sound like wolves.
It don't sound like fucking wolves, Sheriff.
Just then, they are attacked by Shoggoths. A severed arm lands on the ground in front of the trio. Tick yells run and grabs Letty, leaving George, who has bad knees, unable to keep up. He is knocked down by the other sheriffs running for their lives, so he just lays there. Why y'all do Uncle George like that? Tick and Letty make it to a cabin in the woods and realize that they left Uncle George.
Wait! Where's Uncle George?
In here!
George takes the flashlight from the severed arm of the sheriff and looks around. The sheriff and a deputy end up in the same cabin as Tick and Letty, and they make them barricade the door. Uncle George makes it to the cabin without being attacked. George theorizes the creatures did not attack him because he had a flashlight, and that they might be similar to vampires, which are afraid of light. However, this theory doesn't quite hold up since all the sheriffs had flashlights before they were attacked. They assume they need to survive until sunlight, so the sheriff makes Letty go for the car, which has flares and headlights. Letty just also happens to be a former all-star in track while she was in high school. She does look like it when she runs though. The sheriff starts convulsing, and George thinks he may be turning into a vampire. Or something worse. Letty makes it to Woody while being pursued by a Shoggoth. Back at the cabin, the sheriff is partially transformed.
You need to shoot him.
Shoot the motherfucker!
And kills the deputy. Letty uses the flash from her camera to temporarily blind the Shoggoth and gets Woody started. Tick takes the shotgun and tries to shoot the now fully transformed sheriff, to no effect. And in the nick of time, Letty runs into Sheriff Shoggoth. Say that 5 times fast. The creature bounces off Woody, stunned, gets up and jumps out of the cabin window. They pull George in front of the car headlights, while Letty and Tick go outside to battle the creatures with flares. Suddenly, a whistle draws away the creatures, leaving Letty and Tick in disbelief. The next morning, the trio is seen walking and locate the bridge they were searching for. They have finally reached Artem. They see a large mansion in the distance, and when they get closer, they see the silver sedan in the driveway. Before they can knock on the door, it opens, and a young male says,
"We've been expecting you, Mr. Fear. Welcome home."
Overall, I will give this episode a 5 out of 5. The acting was incredible, and the script, although I found that it slowed down to develop the relationship between the sisters, once they hit the road, they really put the pedal to the metal. John really got to show off his acting chops, more so than he did in The Five Bloods. I am also looking forward to seeing more of Anjanou and Wumi in the episodes ahead. Questions I want answered this season? Who told Letty they were going on a road trip? Why did Atticus leave Korea? Why does George have a photo of Atticus's mother in his wallet? What are those monsters in the dark? And who are these white people? Thanks for watching, and keep it copacetic.